Matthew here with New Tone Painting. One of the more frequently asked questions we get during kitchen installs is how do we get our doors to look so good when the painting's finally done and everything's been reinstalled. So I thought I'd go over some of the basic things of a door hinge, because that's probably the most easiest way for you to fine-tune your cabinets or your doors for the best results. So this is a European hinge. It has two screws that mount it to the cabinet, and you have two screws that mount it to the door. So the first adjustment you have is these two screws. They adjust the hinge vertically on the cabinet itself. So if your door is hanging too low on the box, you can loosen these a little bit, then move the door upwards, or vice versa, loosen your door, move it downwards. Your next adjustment is this screw. What it does is it will move the door in or out on the cabinet, meaning that it'll push it forward towards the right or to the left. So if your door gap is a little off, this is one way to fix that. Your next adjustment is this screw. What this screw does is allows the hinge, this piece, to slide forward and back. So what that's going to do is allow the door to close better. So if this screws too far back, like you see here, sometimes when you go to close the door, these pieces here will hit the box of the cabinet, which will stop your door from closing completely. So if you loosen this screw, pull the slide forward a little bit, that'll allow the hinge to fully close. So the other thing with this adjustment, when you're adjusting your doors, you choose whether you want it close to the bottom or close to the top. Most of us, we adjust them closest to the bottom because that's what your eye sees the most. And then this, as I said, if I take this, looking here, you can see how much space there is. If I take this and turn it to the left, you can see how that pushes the door backwards. If I turn it to the right, that brings the door forward. So that theoretically is going to turn the door counterclockwise in this space. But if you go through your whole kitchen, you can fine tune all these settings to make all your doors straight. You can make all your doors, your door handles line up the best possible way you can. The only limitation is once the contractor that installs the cabinets has put these screws in, you can only move the door up and down within the parameter of these holes. So for example, if I move this door maximum down and I move the door next to it maximum up, that's all you have, unless you want to re-drill the cabinet, which usually won't work. But hopefully that helps. That'll give you a little bit of information how you can maybe get around your kitchen and straighten up some of the gaps that you see. Okay, you can see with this door, with the hinges in its current state, this door hangs lower than this door, and you can see the gap is so uneven that the door won't even close here at the top. So what I'll do is I'll take you through what we would do to get this door set up properly after install. So first thing I would do is I would look at the mounting bolts. So you can see the door needs to come down. We would loosen these just a little bit. You don't need the door falling off in the cabinet, you just need it to slide down a little bit. So with those loosened off, you can see how the door will now slide down. I'll tighten these back up. And we'll do a test fit. So you can see there, your heights are bang on. So the next problem to solve is this gap issue. So we know this door is straight to the outside of the cabinet, so we'll assume it's square. So now we're going to fix this door. So the first thing I want to do is take the top hinge, I want to move it back towards the cabinet. So that's turning it counterclockwise. That makes this part of the hinge move in towards the box. So with that little adjustment now, we'll close the door and see where we stand. So you can see there's a little bit of a gap issue here still. So to straighten that up perfectly, I still need to move the bottom hinge this way. So to move that hinge, I tighten here. So now if you look at that gap from top to bottom, that's even to the eye. The next thing you look for, your door handle holes, they line up nice and flat. So that's how we tune a door for perfection at the end of an install. So a day in the life of a painter. So yesterday morning, we roll into a job site in South Curtis. So a little bit of background story. I drive an F-150 that's a crew cab, four-wheel drive. So I typically back into spaces so that I can get my truck out of driving lanes when I'm parked. So I park in a space, I start to move my tools into where we're working. And as I'm moving my tools in, the groundskeepers of the condo that we're painting show up. So they're out mucking around, cleaning up the property, cutting some grass. There's one guy on a lawnmower, there's one guy with a weed eater. So I wave to him, hi, how's it going? They're both there talking to themselves, which, you know, doesn't seem anything out of the sort. So I move my stuff in, and then shortly after that, my helpers show up. And they say, there's something wrong with your truck. I say, what do you mean there's something wrong with my truck? So they say there's something in your truck. So we go down, have a look at my truck. So from a distance, I kid you not, it looked like a squirrel had crawled into my tailpipe. So we're like, what is going on here? Get up a little closer, and you can see it's something hairy that's stuck in my tailpipe. So I'm like, well, what do we do with this? So we get up a little closer, and it's hair hanging out of my tailpipe. I'm like, what's going on? So the guys I'm working with, they like to have a lot of fun. I said, did you guys do this? No, what are you talking about? So we get down on our hands and knees, and what do I pull out of my tailpipe? I pull this. I pull this out of my tailpipe.
A wig of hair.
So if you look at this, you can see how in the hair strands, there's all kinds of grass and so on and so forth. So mind you, from the end of my tailpipe to where there's a bend, that's roughly 12 inches. So let's say this much of it was stuffed up my tailpipe. That leaves all this hanging out. So
they probably took a stick, pushed it up even.
Yeah. So what I'm guessing is, because like when you back a pickup truck into a parking spot, typically the rear bumper will hang over
the curb.
Over the curb onto the grass. That's the only way you can make the truck disappear into the parking spot.
Yeah.
So we're guessing that maybe the guys that were cutting the grass weren't happy about that because they had to go around. They couldn't cut and trim where they had to. And I guess maybe they picked that up as they were cutting the grass, and they thought my tailpipe was a good place to deposit that. So if you're a local landscaper in Bowmanville that drives white trucks with green lettering on it, I won't mention the name because yes, I know the owner. Thank you. Well done, guys. Remember, payback's a bitch and I know where your yard is. Have a good day.
What is this?
Don't shake it. Don't shake it.
Oh, show them your Crocs real quick.
Oh yeah.
Look at those.
What do you think? What do you think of these Crocs?
Woo-wee.
These are the new edition, the 2021 model, freshly unveiled today.
Yeah.
Need a little paint on those.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.